The air crackled with anticipation. The crowd was a sea of red and gold, each fan's heart beating in unison with the pulse of the game. The atmosphere was electric, charged with the energy of thousands who had gathered for this monumental clash. Georgia Tech. Two names that resonate deeply in the world of college football. These aren't just teams, they are institutions, each with a legacy of triumphs and heartbreaks. A rivalry as old as time. This isn't just a game, it's a tradition, a battle that has been waged for generations. Families are divided, friendships put on hold, all for the glory of this one game. But this wasn't just another game. This was a showdown that would be remembered for years to come. The players knew it, the coaches knew it, and most importantly, the fans knew it. This was a battle for state bragging rights. The kind of game that would be talked about at dinner tables, in classrooms, and at workplaces. A game that would define the season for both teams. A clash with college football playoff implications. The stakes couldn't be higher. A win here could propel a team into the national spotlight, while a loss could shatter dreams. The energy inside Sanford Stadium was electric. Every seat was filled, every eye glued to the field. The night sky was lit up by the stadium lights, casting a glow on the battlefield below. Fans knew they were about to witness something special. They had come from far and wide, braving the cold and the crowds, all for the chance to be a part of history. Georgia Tech, the underdog, came in with fire in their eyes. They had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Their determination was palpable, their focus unbreakable. They were determined to upset the reigning national champions. They had trained for this moment, visualized it, and now it was time to execute. Georgia, on the other hand, carried the weight of expectation. They were the favorites, the team everyone expected to win. But with that came pressure, the kind that can either forge champions or break them. They were expected to win, to dominate. The Bulldogs had a legacy to uphold, a reputation to maintain. Anything less than victory would be seen as a failure. Little did anyone know, they were in for the longest game in their storied rivalry's history. A game that would test the limits of endurance, skill, and willpower. The first quarter was a feeling-out process. Both teams were cautious, probing each other's defenses, looking for weaknesses. Both teams traded punts, sizing each other up. It was a chess match on grass, each move calculated, each decision critical. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Every play, every yard gained or lost, was met with gasps and cheers from the crowd. Then, Georgia Tech landed the first blow. A perfectly executed play, a burst of speed, and they were in the end zone. A big play, a roar from the crowd, and suddenly the Yellow Jackets had the lead. This was their night, or so it seemed. The game was far from over and both teams knew it. The battle had just begun. Georgia Tech, fueled by the momentum of their early lead, began to dictate the flow of the game. Their triple-option offense, a throwback to a bygone era, was firing on all cylinders. Georgia's defense, usually a force of nature, looked bewildered. The Yellow Jackets' defense, inspired by their offense's performance, played with a ferocity that surprised many. They swarmed to the ball, delivering bone-jarring tackles. Georgia's offense sputtered, frustration began to creep in. As the first half wore on, Georgia Tech extended their lead. The Georgia faithful, accustomed to their team's dominance, watched in stunned silence. Their Bulldogs, the kings of college football, were being outplayed, outcoached, outmuscled. The first half ended with Georgia Tech firmly in control. The scoreboard reflected their dominance, but there was a feeling in the air that this game was far from over. Georgia, with their championship pedigree, wouldn't go down without a fight. The stage was set for a dramatic second half. The Georgia Bulldogs emerged from the locker room a different team. Gone was the frustration, replaced by a steely determination. They knew they had to dig deep, to find the championship spirit that had carried them to the pinnacle of college football. And dig deep they did. The Georgia defense, playing with renewed intensity, began to stifle Georgia Tech's triple-option attack. Turnovers followed. The momentum had shifted. The crowd, sensing a comeback, roared their approval. Georgia's offense, led by the calm presence of quarterback Carson Beck, found its rhythm. They marched down the field with precision and purpose. Touchdown after touchdown, Georgia chipped away at Georgia Tech's lead. The impossible seemed within reach. As the clock ticked down, Georgia tied the game. The stadium erupted. The Georgia faithful, who had been silenced for much of the game, were back in full voice. The game headed into overtime, and then another, and another, neither team willing to yield. Section 4, Into the Abyss, Overtime's Relentless Grip. No one could have predicted what was to come. The anticipation was palpable as fans streamed into the stadium, their faces painted with the colors of their beloved teams. The sky, painted in hues of orange and purple, set the stage for what would become an unforgettable night. Overtime after overtime, the two teams traded blows. Each tackle, each sprint, each pass was executed with precision and determination. The players, fueled by adrenaline and the roar of the crowd, gave everything they had on the field. The tension was unbearable. Each play felt like a championship game in itself. Coaches barked orders, players huddled together, their faces etched with focus and resolve. Every decision, every move was critical, and the weight of the moment was evident in their eyes. The crowd, exhausted but exhilarated, rode every single emotional wave. They cheered, they gasped, they held their breath with every play. The energy in the stadium was electric, a living, breathing entity that seemed to feed off the drama unfolding on the field. Georgia, with their championship experience, seemed to have the upper hand. Their plays were executed with a level of precision that spoke of countless hours of practice and preparation. The coach, a seasoned veteran, guided his team with a steady hand, his eyes never leaving the field. But Georgia Tech, playing with house money, refused to back down. They were the underdogs, but they played with a fire and passion that was impossible to ignore. Their coach, equally determined, rallied his players, urging them to dig deep and find that extra gear. The Yellow Jackets, feeding off the energy of the moment, matched Georgia score for score. Every time Georgia pulled ahead, Georgia Tech answered back with a play that left the crowd in awe. It was a relentless back and forth, a true test of skill and endurance. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over Sanford Stadium, the game entered its fifth overtime, then its sixth, then its seventh. The scoreboard, illuminated against the darkening sky, told the story of a battle that seemed to have no end. The players, physically and emotionally drained, pushed themselves beyond their limits. They collapsed on the bench, only to rise again when their number was called. Teammates helped each other up, a silent testament to their unbreakable bond and shared determination. The fans, many of whom had lost their voices from hours of cheering, continued to will their teams on. They waved signs and banners, their faces a mix of exhaustion and unwavering support. The bond between the players and their supporters was palpable, a shared journey through the highs and lows of the game. This was no longer just a game, it had transcended into something more profound. It was a spectacle, a drama, a test of human spirit and resilience. The players, the coaches, the fans, all were part of this epic narrative, each playing their role to perfection. It was a test of endurance, a battle of wills. Every player on that field was a warrior, fighting not just for victory but for pride, for honor, for the sheer love of the game. Their faces, etched with determination, told the story of their struggle and their unwavering resolve, a testament to the human spirit. In the end, it wasn't just about who won or lost. It was about the journey, the effort, the heart and soul poured into every moment. It was a night that would be remembered, not just for the score, but for the indomitable spirit of all who were part of it. Section 5. Trading blows, a back-and-forth affair. The overtimes became a blur of big plays and missed opportunities. Each moment was a roller coaster of emotions, with fans and players alike riding the highs and lows of this epic contest. The stakes were incredibly high and every second felt like an eternity. Each team seemingly on the verge of victory, only to be denied by a heroic defensive stand or a costly turnover. The defensive units were playing their hearts out, making crucial stops and forcing turnovers at the most critical moments. It was a true test of endurance and willpower, with neither side willing to give an inch. The tension in the stadium was palpable, a thick fog of anticipation and dread hanging over the field. Fans were on the edge of their seats, their faces a mix of hope and anxiety. The atmosphere was electric, with every play eliciting gasps and cheers from the crowd. It was a night that no one in attendance would ever forget. One moment, Georgia would score, seemingly delivering the knockout blow, only to see Georgia Tech answer back in kind, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. The back-and-forth nature of the game was mesmerizing, with each team refusing to back down. It was a true display of grit and determination, with both sides giving it their all. The momentum swung back and forth like a pendulum, keeping everyone on the edge of their seats. The ebb and flow of the game was relentless, with each team seizing the momentum only to have it snatched away moments later. It was a battle of wills, with neither side willing to concede defeat. Every play was a story in itself. Each snap of the ball brought with it a new chapter in this unfolding drama. The players were writing their own narratives, with every tackle, pass, and run adding to the rich tapestry of the game. It was a showcase of skill, strategy, and sheer determination. A fumble recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. It was moments like these that defined the game, turning the tide and shifting the momentum. The players were leaving everything on the field, their bodies and minds pushed to the limit. A last-second field goal attempt sailing wide right, the agony of a missed opportunity, the heartbreak of coming so close only to fall short. These were the moments that would be remembered, the plays that would be talked about for years to come. A fourth down conversion that defied all odds, the sheer audacity of the play, the courage to take such a risk in the face of overwhelming pressure. It was a testament to the players' belief in themselves and their teammates, a moment of pure, unadulterated football magic. The game had become a microcosm of the sport itself, a showcase of its unpredictable nature and raw emotion. It was a reminder of why we love this game, why we invest so much of ourselves in it. The highs and lows, the triumphs and heartbreaks, all encapsulated in this one unforgettable night. As the game entered its 8th overtime, a sense of disbelief settled over the stadium. Could this really be happening? The sheer length and intensity of the game were pushing everyone to their limits. It was a test of endurance, both physical and mental, for players and fans alike. Could this really be happening? The fans were in a state of shock, their emotions swinging wildly from hope to despair and back again. The players too were feeling the strain, their bodies pushed to the brink of exhaustion. It was a battle of attrition with no end in sight. Was there any end in sight? The clock seemed to be moving in slow motion, each second dragging on interminably. The players were running on fumes, their bodies aching, their minds weary, but still they fought on, driven by the desire to win, to be the ones to finally break the deadlock. The players running on fumes looked to their coaches for answers. They needed guidance, a plan, something to hold on to in this sea of uncertainty. The coaches too were feeling the pressure, their minds racing as they tried to find a way to break the stalemate. But even the coaches seemed lost for words, caught up in the surreal drama unfolding before their eyes. It was a night that would go down in history, a game that would be remembered for its sheer intensity and drama. The players, the coaches, the fans, all were part of this incredible story, a testament to the enduring power and magic of football.